part of everything else. All right, we'll call our meeting to order. Regular meeting Tuesday, April 12th, 2016. So we typically need to approve the agenda, although I don't see that on.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and approve
The agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda. However, I'd like to move item number 14 under the requiring action to the top of the list on requiring action.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor,
Hang on a
please?
second, what are we voting on to approve the agenda?
Approve the agenda.
I'd like to take off the student handbook and professional staff handbook. And the reason being is because I think we talked about a couple months ago about the discipline and the inconsistency in our handbook and some different things like that.
Policy.
Yeah, and we were gonna rework that or look at it before we,
I don't think that has anything to do with board policy, and that would be JGR, which lists the discipline part of that handbook. But I don't think that has anything to do with that part of it. It has to do with procedures, which we're looking at.
yeah, but there are some things in that handbook that deal with discipline. And I just thought, that I was under the impression that we were going to look that over. That was one of the things that we talked about doing. And when I was looking over the handbooks, that's in there, and I just didn't know if we wanted to look at that to make sure that everything lined up before we approve.
Well, we have a motion and a second, so do you want to accept an amendment to your motion, Scott?
No.
Okay. So, all in favor? Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So wait a second. Yeah, but the time to take it off, so we don't vote on it before we approve the agenda, correct?
Yes.
Right.
The board policy is board policy JGR, is what's listed in the handbook. If we want to discuss what you're talking about, we can still discuss it after the approval of the handbooks, if that makes sense, because it's a procedure.
We just had an issue at one time. I don't know if it was when we met with MSBA or what. We talked about that the handbook did not line up with our discipline. There was some kind of confusion between the handbooks and the discipline or whatever, and we were going to look at that at some point.
No, the handbook lines up. I think what it had to do with is the number of suspensions, right? The number of suspensions that were being issued.
Well, why don't we talk about it when it gets to the place on the agenda where it's on?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we have some recognitions this evening.
Shannon.
They're gonna do those.
I'm still on the books. Right. There you go. Good afternoon. Tonight we are going to recognize a group of our teachers. They have actually represented our district very well, and the Southeast Missouri School Counselors Association has awarded 3 of our counselors in our district with some awards. And so we're going to bring them out, and then I'm going to talk about each one of you, okay? Just hold up. Bring you out one at a time, and then I'm going to explain what they won. First of all, we have Kim Thornborough. She is our high school counselor.
Come on down,
She is,
Kim.
come on down, Kim. She is our senior counselor at the high school, and she has actually been awarded the High School Counselor of the Year by the Southeast Missouri School Counselors Association. Congratulations. Our next counselor is Tanya Sparlin. She was awarded the Middle Level School Counselor of the Year by the Southeast Missouri School Counselors Association. Olivia was honored as the winner in the video contest that was sponsored by the Southeast Missouri School Counselors Association during the National School Counselors Week. I'm going to give you a little background, a little information on what this group does. These individuals were recognized as the Counselors of the Year for their respective level by the Southeast Missouri School Counselors Association. This covers 19 counties in Southeast Missouri and is comprised of approximately 130 members from 19 school districts. So it's quite an honor and quite an award for these ladies. It really says a lot about the work that they do in our district. I don't know if you realize sometimes that the counselors are involved in almost every aspect of the student's daily journey, regardless of the level, whether they're in kindergarten or high school. The time that is spent, whether it is counseling with students, whether it is working with teachers to make sure that our bullying lessons are getting put in place, testing, graduation, making sure their credits are where they need to be, scholarships. I can't say enough about the role that our counselors play throughout the daily lives of our students throughout our district. And I just want to say thank you so much for representing our district, and thank you again for all your hard work, because I know sometimes it does go unnoticed. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll go now into the, do you take this?
Yeah,
part?
I'll go ahead and take this part. Next, we have to consider certification of the April 5th, 2015 election results. And Mr. Nickel, I believe you have that information.
Right. As everybody knows, we had an election last week. Out in Scott County, John Graham received 570 votes. Scott Krumpecker received 951 votes. Rebecca Stewart received 1,024 votes. In New Madrid County, John Graham received 166 votes. Scott Krumpecker 161. Ms. Stewart 189. The totals were Graham 736, Krumpecker 1,112, and Rebecca Stewart 1,213. Therefore, the two winners for the two 3-year spots were Scott Krumpecker and Rebecca Stewart.
I make a motion that we accept these, or certify the election results.
Second.
Okay, is this going to be roll call, or can we just,
You can go.
any discussion on it? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we have the oath of office to the newly elected members. And with that, I've got Brian again is going to do the honors.
Let's do you. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of school director
discharge the duties of school director
in the Sikeston R6 School District
in the Sikeston R6 School District
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
according to law.
according to law.
No, right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just give it back.
One of those days. All right. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and will faithfully, impartially discharge
the duties of school director
the duties of school director
in the Sikeston R6 School District
in the Sikeston R6 School
to the
District
best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
according to law.
according to law.
Thanks, sir.
Congratulations, you two. Scott, Rebecca, congratulations. Next on the agenda, we have the reorganization of the Sikeston R6 Board of Education. And with that, we first need to look at the election of president. Are there any nominations for president?
I nominate Jim Gleason.
Are there any other nominations? With that, we need to cast a vote here, and all in favor of Jim Gleason being the Sikeston R6 Board of Education President, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you.
I'm a little rusty on that. Next, we have nominations for Vice President. Are there any nominations for Vice President of the Sikeston R6 Board of Education?
I would nominate Matt Tanner.
Okay, Matt Tanner has been nominated. Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Rebecca Stewart.
Rebecca Stewart. Are there any other nominations? With that, we'll just do a roll call vote. With that, should I ask those people who are being nominated? Or they should abstain from that, correct?
No, everybody can.
Okay. Mr. Gleason?
Tanner.
Mr. Urick?
Stewart.
Mr. Crumpecker?
Stewart.
Ms. Stewart?
Stewart.
Mr. Tanner?
Tanner.
Ms. Blanton?
Tanner.
Mr. Lake?
Tanner.
With that, we have 4 votes for Mr. Tanner and 3 for Ms. Stewart. With that, Mr. Tanner will be the Vice President of the Board. Next, we have the election of Secretary. Are there any nominations for Secretary of the Sikeston R6 Board of Education?
I would nominate Brian Nickel.
Brian Nickel has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? All in favor of Brian Nickel as the Secretary of the Sikeston R6 Board of Education?
If, as a matter of.
Should we do roll call?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Gleason?
Yes.
Mr. Uri?
Yes.
Mr. Crumpecker?
Yes.
Ms. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Tanner?
Yes.
Ms. Blanton?
Abstain.
And Mr. Lake?
Yes.
Okay. Brian Nickel is the Secretary. Next, we have the appointment of Treasurer of the Sikeston R6 Board of Education. Are there nominations for that?
I'd like to nominate Ms. Lori Boardman.
Lori Boardman has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? All in favor of Lori Boardman as the Treasurer of the Sikeston R6 Board of Education? Signify by saying aye. Opposed? Next, we have the appointment of Assistant Treasurer. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Cheryl White.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for the Assistant Treasurer's position? All in favor of Cheryl White as the Assistant Treasurer, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Cheryl White is the Assistant Treasurer. With that, Mr. Gleason, I guess I'll turn it over to you. We'll do a switch of seats here, and you can adjourn this meeting, and we'll go into our regular session.
Motion. Do we need a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Yeah, I need that, don't I?
We have a motion to adjourn. Sorry.
So moved. Do we need a motion? Okay, I think that we.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So, now we will call our regularly scheduled meeting to order. And we need to, are we going to approve the agenda again?
We'll go ahead and approve the agenda for
Okay,
this.
so we'll need a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the first item under informational is the Focus Accountability Plan update, and I have Mr. Mays and Ms. Hartsock will be presenting that information.
Good afternoon. I have talked to Ms. Tanksley and also some of the teachers at Southeast Elementary. They did complete PLC training on March 31st. During that training, they talked about meaningful grading practices, such as standards-based grading. They also discussed the PLC evidence tool and how they can improve implementation in the building. That was with the Southeast group. They also have achieved the opportunity to move to Tier 2 next year in PBS, and so they'll be able to provide more services for students. They have not been having collaboration meetings at this point because of testing. The testing schedule has rearranged the special class schedule, and because the teachers having special class at different times, it's difficult for them to meet, but they will be resuming that soon. And the at-risk assistant is still doing well in her duties. Any questions?
Ms. Harlow?
We completed our focus plan and it was submitted to DESI on April 1st. On April 4th, we had a building level meeting where we went over the focus plan as a building and talked about the 5 key areas. For the leadership component, we will be part of PLCs. For the collaborative cultures component, we'll be with, I will plan with the literacy coach every week. The teachers will have common plan times weekly, and again, PLCs. For curriculum assessment, we'll be working on revising our ELA curriculum, and actually we've got that started. Our first day for that is this Friday, and we'll be working with 4th grade. And then we'll just take one grade level at a time with our ELA and see what we can do to improve our instruction. We'll also have common formative assessments in ELA and math. There's a computer program called Mobi Max that actually assesses all the subjects, and it has a really neat diagnostic tool, and it each child is tracked independently, and so you can kind of see where they are and what specific skills they are lacking, and so it kind of helps the teacher really key in on what they need to work on. And then for effective instruction, we'll work on our unit of instruction, our professional development plan for the year. And for the behavior intervention part, we will continue our involvement with PBIS, and then we also plan to have a teacher assistant that will help with some of the discipline.
What's the process on the filing the focus of accountability plan with DESI? I mean, what do they do with it?
Well, I know, that's a real good question. I don't know how much in depth I can answer.
Do you know the names?
Yes, that'd be great. Because all I know is that I write it.
Well, I know we've
and
talked about it a lot.
She runs it into me and then from there she doesn't really know. And I'm sorry if I stepped there.
No, please do.
She works, Ms. Hartzell develops the focus accountability plan with her staff, and then she submits that to me, and then I look at that, I share it with Mr. Williams, we go through the plan. From there, it is submitted to our area, the Southeast area rep for DESI, which is Ken Jackson. Ken basically approves the point, and then at that point, we submit that into the portal on DESI's website. Mr. Crater actually has to submit that.
And do they approve it? Or?
Mr. Jackson does. Ken's the one who approves it.
Okay.
Southeast.
Southeast
Yes,
rep.
He
Yeah.
approves that information.
And I think we asked every questions in the process. I mean, what the expectations were, Ms. Hartzell, too.
I know there's training for a focus school. Do you guys collaborate within our district or the area as far as other people who are focus schools?
We had one meeting when we were first notified that would be part of that group. I think, if I'm correctly understanding it, that we don't get together, he actually comes to us.
That's
And
correct.
I don't think that'd be a wonderful thing if we could.
That would be.
And we have each other's phone numbers, so we could certainly create something like that on our own. Before it's all over, I will talk to more of them. I have talked to 2 schools, just kind of to find out what they've done and, what progress they've made and that kind of thing.
Well, if something works, you don't need to reinvent.
Exactly.
Originally, when we got into this, Southeast went through a program called MoLead, and it required everyone to go through MoLead. So then all the other schools within our Southeast area were part of that too. And it was a good collaboration piece, I believe, that allowed our school to connect with other schools and discuss these matters. But now they've kind of gone away from MoLead. I think the closest place we can go to MoLead is Kansas City. And so now for leadership part of that, we're using professional learning communities, which is also a great item for Matthews to get involved with as well.
may I also say too that Ken is going to come speak, Ken Jackson is going to come meet with Ms. Hartzog. I think it's monthly, am I correct on that?
Originally, he said that he met with, when there were just maybe 5 or however many he had initially, he met with them once a month. He said it might be closer to once every 6 weeks. It just kind of depends on, he said he tried to do an average of every month, but it might be a little bit longer in between times.
I was going to say, it's not the same thing as being in the other schools, but at least he can share information on what other schools are doing. And Ken is really good at that. He'll be a good support for Ms. Hartzog.
Any other questions? Thank you all. Next, we have the high school achievement update. I have Ms. Morgan, our academic leader at the high school, is going to present that information.
Hello. I just wanted to kind of tell you what this month is entailing. We started our EOC testing on Wednesday with American history, and today we tested English, and we've also did Algebra 2. That's going real smooth. The teachers have prepared them through reviews and looking at benchmark data and going back and reteaching us areas that needed to be retaught and different things like that. Also, I wanted to tell you, next week on Tuesday is the statewide ACT, the junior ACT, and our academic coaches have did an excellent job with the ACT Blitz. This year they have had 5 different ACT blitzes with our juniors, and so out of our juniors, which is about 230 taking the test, they have been able to reach about 160 of those with the ACT Blitz. So that is a tremendous amount. This year they went over to the alternative school for 2 days, and that's something new that they did for the first time is they went over there 2 days and did a little ACT Blitz with them, a day each on different students. So I think with that help, I think we're going to see great improvements in the scores, and I'm pretty sure from what I've talked to them, the response from the students, we had students coming to us asking, because it's hard to reach all of them, can we please be put into it? And so any student that came to ask if they could be put into it, we went ahead and made arrangements for them to take the ACT Blitz too. So, and again, on that 19th, the juniors will be taking the ACT, and then Taylor Merriweather, who is our, she's our college advisor. She is also going to be doing something with seniors that day. She's going to be doing transition day in the morning and then decision day at around lunch. And the transition day will take place in the field house, and what she has is she's asked each senior what their plans are for after graduation, and she's kind of dividing them up into different groups, and they're going to go to different presentations depending on if they're going to a 2-year college, military, if they're planning on entering the workforce, or a 4-year college, and that she has people coming in from the outside talking to them about how they can prepare for their next step after graduation. So that's some of the stuff going on. The other thing I would like to talk about is our iLead team. I know that we've talked about iPads and iLead, and I know junior high is also presented on their iLead team, but I just wanted to tell you that we are doing the iLead team as well. And we have 7 teachers included in that with Miss Gilmer. And Miss Gilmer has kind of taken on that responsibility, but through that responsibility, our teachers have did a really great job, and Garrett Cooper is one of them, of our iLead team. And we meet once a month, and we just discuss different things. Part of what we are doing now is digital citizenship, but they have offered a bunch of stuff to our teachers. And one of these things, this is actually a PowerPoint presentation from one of our special education students that they are learning about substitution and algebra. And Ms. Eifert had them develop keynotes, which keynotes is the same thing as PowerPoints, but she had them develop a keynote. And this is one of our students did on how to do substitution in algebra. And this is something that the student was very proud of. He was able to take all his information that the teacher supplied to him, and he developed this on his own. So this is pretty, I think the iPads and our iLead team, I think this is something that all of our students are being able to use through different applications, and Nearpod and Edmodo, all the students are being able to benefit from this. And we're looking forward to expanding our iLead team next year to include more teachers, and I think that it is working really well. So.
And this is a special education student?
Yes, this is a special education student that did this, so this is something that they were very proud of, and she asked all our students to do it, but so I thought it was something pretty neat.
How do you determine who takes the ACT Blitz?
The ACT Blitz is out of our junior class. what we did is we looked at their plan test scores that they took at, as sophomores, and we kind of took that middle range group, and then we divided them into, based on what classes they had, like what math classes they had, and divided them into that. It would be nice if we could reach more, but it's just so hard with the amount of time that they have, but we can reach more this year than.
And then anybody else specifically asked for?
Yes, then I just let them in, yes.
Why don't you explain the blitz, because I think that, I don't know if everybody is aware of what the blitz is and how important it is to our district. And the ladies that really got the ball rolling with this really are kind of groundbreakers as far as implementing that, not only in Sikeston, but around the following areas, the surrounding areas. And we're very proud to have those people on our staff, and they've done a wonderful job. If you can just kind of explain, maybe summarize it.
Yeah, basically what they do is we take the group down to the fieldhouse classroom, and all the academic coaches are in there at that point in time, and kind of give just tips on how to take the ACT, like letter of the day, and, make sure you answer the questions that you know before you go, move on. Just the specific tips, that's in the morning, and that usually lasts for
About an hour.
about an hour, hour and a half. And then that group of 50, it's usually a group of 50, they're broke up into 2 groups, and one group will go with Miss Libby and Miss Sally to do the reading and English portion. And then what they do is they take little excerpts from old ACT released items, and they give little tips and pointers on how to read, or, picking out, with the ACT, it's hard to read all those passages. So how to skim through it, how to find the main points, looking at the questions, finding the main points of the questions and going from there. And then that group, after lunch, then we'll go with Betsy and Wanda and work on the mathematics and science portion of it. And if you guys have anything you want to add? Okay, and anyway, and then they work on their tips from there. But as Tom said, that today Wanda and Libby and Sally are just in Jackson. So, I mean, we're fortunate enough to have those ladies here. And not only do they help with the ACT blitz, but they also help with our teachers too. Like in our department meetings, Wanda goes over science tips that the teachers can use. And Betsy does the same with math and so on. So we're fortunate enough to have them here because they help the teachers as well in that aspect.
We've seen significant increases in our ACTs, 4 to 5 points, correct, and maybe,
And there's,
yeah, that's phenomenal. The type
it's
of
been to the
increase.
point where the ACT is kind of questioning some things just because they did such a tremendous job at the ACT. They have questioned.
Luke saw several point increase just from being in the blitz.
Christian did too.
Amazing.
Tremendous program.
That's the other thing I was gonna say, some of the juniors actually did the blitz as a sophomore. If they took the ACT as a sophomore,
Yes.
they would have had it.
Yes, and we did pull some of them out too, if they wanted a little refresher course if it's been a while, because some of the juniors took it as a freshman, and so but we were able to get.
Are you still doing the 21
Yeah.
club and the 30 plus clubs? Okay.
Yes, we recognize the 30 plus club at football for every year, but we'll do it again.
Tiffany, what about those seniors that have had an opportunity to take the ACT last year, but for whatever reason couldn't or didn't? They have an opportunity to take it with the juniors this year? So once they let that opportunity go by, it's done.
Yeah, and that's what we've been really, Ms. Stonewall met with all of them yesterday and today to get their pre-registration done, and that's one of the things that we really focused on. And even when we pulled the students out to do the ACT blitz, how I reminded them how important this test was, plus it was a free test to them that is now, if they would take it and pay for it, it's $56.50 for everything that they're getting, so
And they'll have one more chance, is that right? During their junior year? One more?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, the makeup day is in May.
Any other questions for Tiffany? Thank you, Tiffany. Next, we have the technology overview report. I have Mr. Eddie Lowry from our technology director. He's going to present that information.
Well, I wasn't sure, again, this is my first meeting with you guys, and I don't know when my predecessor has last spoke with you, so I thought I'd just go back and hit the projects that, even though I was gone for 3 years, I was still here helping out when I can, so it's one of the projects that I help with. We did update our Exchange server, which is our email system. It was dated 2003, and as of 2014, it was still in existence. So we got that updated to a 2010 model. There's a newer one out, but the newest one, 2016, is coming out very soon, and that's probably the one we'll go to, so we get our email to a current state. Virtualization, when we did the email project, we were able to reduce the number of physical servers by virtualizing. That means we can run more servers on one box and have to have fewer boxes. So we started this project right when I left. I put in the first virtual server, and that brought our physical server count to 22. We had 22 physical boxes in a room generating heat, had to be cooled down constantly. As of right now, we have 9. So we are just constantly reducing the number of physical boxes. Less we have to heat, or less we have to cool down, less electricity we're using to run. It's also great when we need to spin something up to test it. I can do it in an hour instead of a day with virtualization. So it's been a great asset for us. By this summer, I'll get it count down to 6. We have 2 servers running the ALS program, and I didn't want to interfere with it during the last of school. So as soon as school's out, we will move that to the virtualized servers as well. Content filter, when I first got back, first thing I heard from everybody was our content filter is atrocious. Please do something about that. The line that people who don't like our content filter starts here and goes that way. I researched in and went to Mornet's conference, talked to a bunch of people, and it got down to basically 2. Smoothball and iBoss. iBoss had a contract with Mornet, which they would give us a little special pricing because we're Mornet customers. And we tested it, it worked well, and so we purchased that and got it all installed. The light speed, it would go in and out. I mean, I looked when I got back in September through November, and our network administrator was spending about 20% of her time on the phone with support on Lightspeed because it would crash every week. This new system has not crashed one time yet. The only thing about this new system, it might be a little too restrictive. I was trying to search some network appliance equipment, different models, and it flagged me because I used the word models. So, seriously, so the Lightspeed has been a great addition, and other than being a little too restricted, we've got to massage it a little bit. It's sometimes technology is an art, not a science. So we're getting it down. My predecessor filed for E-rate last year. It was approved, as you guys know. We got 22 new network switches. We got those all in and got them installed. We got 51 access points. We got those in and installed. And we've already got the process going of being reimbursed by E-rate. We've got some of the funds and still doing all the paperwork for them. Of course, it's a government program. If you miss one dot over an I, they kick it out and you guys start all over. Getting my first endeavor with E-rate has been a challenging one, to say the least. Our work order system, we had a work order system that we piggybacked off of our maintenance department. It's been great. This was put in 2010 or 2011. I think it was 2010. It was better than what we had, but it needed more. We needed more. When I left for 3 years, the company I had a different one. I really liked it. It gave me some data that I really thought would be handy. So when I come back, the first thing I was doing was getting that implemented to this new work order system. It's called SpiceWorks, and it's completely free. It's housed inside here. So if the internet goes down, we can still put in, users can split it in work orders. It has a lot more interaction with the user. Blue Chalk was great, but when some of the things would happen with work orders would get pushed down the list and get forgot about. Or a work order would get completed and then a teacher would ask about it because she didn't know it was ever completed. So what this does is as soon as they put in a work order, they get an email that they put in a work order. They get an email when we assign it to a technician. They get an email anytime anything was documented, and they can respond back through that same email, and it will keep updating the ticket. So all that correspondence is documented in this new work order system. We went from having to go to a website to put in a work order to the new system, you can do it in 3 ways. You can go to a website that I have here, you can send just an email to a specific email address on our help desk ticket, and you can call a phone number on our new short telephone systems. It will send it, you leave a voicemail, it'll attach it to an email, send it to the help desk ticket system, and that voicemail will be in the ticket. So when a technician gets it, they can just double click the voicemail and hear exactly the voicemail that was left. This has been it also gives me reports. One of the things that happen when Blue Chalk things would get slipped down, I get a report. Anytime a ticket is over 5 days, I get an email of all the tickets that are over 5 days. Any ticket that's over 10 days over, I get another email for that. So it keeps us on the toes so that we don't lose a ticket in the system. Speaking of work orders, I look back, averaging, work orders continue to grow every year, but averaging about 1,600 work orders a year for a school year, August to May, last 2 years. I checked today at 2:45, we're at 1,800 already this year, we have a month and a half to go. So we're gonna be bumping our heads against that 2,000 tickets. Normally we have around 1,600, so the tickets have really increased this year. I don't know why, but they have really increased, which is great. I want tickets to come in. You can ask any of the people in my department, they'll tell you, I have a saying, broken technology is useless technology. So if it's broke, teachers can't use it. So if we know about it, we'll fix it as fast as we can, and this system helps us get it done faster. And so make sure we don't lose anything. The last item is staff. When this summer, the technician left and the technology director submitted his retirement. There for about a month, right when school started, we were down a technician. They decided to hire a technician then because we couldn't wait. Miss Marissa Levitt was hired, and she is fantastic. She's done great. She brings a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom about PC repair into this district, and she's a great asset to have. It was told to me when I come back that a second technician was going to be hired, but we're waiting to replace the technology director and let the new one have that say. We did some interviews, and Mr. Chad Brown was selected. And again, he has been really great at the job. He's been deemed our Apple guy, from iPads to MacBooks to iMacs. He seems to be the go-to when it comes to an Apple product to be repaired. And that's.
Any questions for Eddie?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the reason why your work orders are going up is because the effectiveness and efficiency in which you get things done. I mean, I think people know that they can rely on our tech department right now because we have the quality and the number of people to get it done. So we've been very pleased with Eddie and the group, and very pleased actually. So thank you. Next we have the enrollment, student enrollment as of April 1st, 2016. Our enrollment is 3,355 students. We are down 13 students. To kind of break it down somewhat for you, K through 6, we were up 5 students at 1909. At 7 through 12, we were down 16 students. And at the alternative school, we were down 2 students. So for a total of 13 students, we were down at the school year from last month.
Don't we start losing kids as they meet graduation requirements?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And that was part of it at semester time as well. We had several kids at New Horizons who did meet their graduation credits and did graduate, and we lost several during that time
Then
period.
they come back and walk.
Yes, they did. Next, we have the student discipline data as of March 2016. You can see the information presented for you, and as each and every month, we have it broken down, ISS, OSS, and also by gender, and several other varieties of things it's broken down by. So one thing that was interesting is the junior high school technology usage violation, that we're at 2 students during this month of March. February we're at 6, January at 6, and December at 1. So that is going down. In addition to technology violations at the high school, we had 0 in March, 1 in February, 0 in January, and 0 in December as well.
Credit to the new iBoss.
I think the iBoss has shown very effective. as Eddie was talking about, just typing in normal things, it kicks you out and won't allow you to go in any further. So, yeah, I think it's been very effective. Very effective. Moving on to require an action, we're going to skip down to item number 14, and that is consideration of resolution for the bond refinancing. We have Michelle Bach come share with us the other night, and Piper Jaffray share about the refinancing, so I'm going to turn it over to Michelle and let her explain that to you once again.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
So what we talked about, and I'll go through this again this evening, is a combination of redemption of outstanding bonds and a bond refinancing of the district's general obligation bonds by doing a private placement with banks. And we propose to solicit local banks and any other banks that are interested in giving proposals to do a refinancing of the district's outstanding bonds. The combination of the redemption and the refinancing, we hope to achieve about $150,000 to $160,000 in savings. And we would propose to submit those proposals out for looks from banks this month and then come back to the board with the results. And at that time, if the savings are sufficient, then you would move forward and close the refinancing. I think it's important to note that the refinancing would be callable at any time, so the district would still remain able to call and redeem bonds as is needed. We estimated a rate of 1.75% based on just the current market and where we think things might end up. Again, it could be lower, rates are incredibly low. If it does come back higher, then the only thing you're out is time. There are no costs to pay if it doesn't work out. So we would then report back next month.
Are there any questions from Michelle?
I make a motion that we consider the resolution for bond refinancing.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second for the resolution to refinance these bonds. Is there any other discussion?
I mean, it seems like there's no downside. We potentially could save $100,000 plus, so.
Is that net of the refinancing cost?
It is,
Okay.
yes.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michelle. Going back to item number 1, request permission to schedule an executive session to discuss student matters and also personal matters immediately following this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to have an executive session. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Sorry.
Mr. Tanner?
Yes.
Mr. Crumpet?
Yes.
Mr. Lake?
Yes.
Mr. Lane? Mr. Cleese?
Yes.
Next, we have the approval of non-tenured staff for the 2016-2017 school year. Those teachers are listed in your packet of information. The ones that will be receiving tenure as of next year are highlighted by the little star next to their name. It's my recommendation to approve the non-teacher tenured staff for the 16-17 school year.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Wait, don't we need to do a roll call for that?
If
I
somebody
need to
has,
abstain.
Okay.
Oh, yes we do. Yes, we do.
I'll amend my motion to have that be for a roll call.
Yes, you do. Mr. Tanner?
yes.
Ms. Dirk?
Same.
Mr. Crumpet?
Yes.
Mr. Lake?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Cleese?
Yes.
Next under required action is the approval of the A-plus program, and I have Ms. Morgan going to pinch in tonight for Mr. Shooter. Mr. Shooter's out with the baseball game and couldn't make it this evening.
Yeah, I told Mr. Shooter that I would come and present this since I'm used to presenting it. Anyway, he did have a baseball game, so he does apologize for not being here. Just basically, I don't know, you guys guys received the information that he went ahead and did on the numbers. You can kind of see from last year to this year, the numbers pretty well stayed consistently. Last year we had 291 students in A+. This year there's 301. And you can see that we're basically kind of right on track with the seniors graduating. Last year we had 41 qualify and 15 used it. This year we're on track for 38 to be graduating with those qualifications and about 16 that are planning on using it. And we really don't know until it gets to there on who's using it, using the A+ scholarships.
Are there any questions on the A+ program?
So when it says qualified, does that mean the kids that won the program that completed it and?
Yeah, they met all the qualifications.
And then
all
the-
the-
where it says used benefits, are those the ones that actually like went to a college that accepted this program?
Yes, ma'am.
How have our numbers changed since we've implemented open campus lunch for those seniors that are qualifying for A+? Are we seeing a difference?
Yeah, they have went up because open campus lunch, they basically have to meet most of the requirements.
Right.
They only have to have 20 hours for open campus, but they usually just go ahead and go on and get the other 30 that they need for
So
on
we
campus. But
are
yes, they
seeing
have
an
went up.
increase.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
Why do we have so many juniors? We have 122 juniors.
That's what, actually, Mr. Sheeter asked me that one. That was the year that Ms. Schott was the freshman counselor, and she did a really great job of promoting the A+ program when she went over to talk to the freshmen, and I think a lot of freshmen, basically, because as a freshman, the students anyone can sign up, and then they're in the program until they don't meet the qualifications or they want to be dropped from the program, and they stay in it until their senior year, and then when it gets close to the time, that's when Mr. Sheeter has to meet with them and say, hey, you're not meeting this qualification because of attendance or because of hours, or if they get, there's a discipline aspect to it or a good citizenship aspect. So if they mess that qualification up, then they do get kicked out of the program. But when she had the freshmen, she did a really great job of promoting this, and she had a lot of the freshmen sign up, and the numbers really, because I kind of look back at that, as sophomores last year, there was only 111, so actually more juniors have joined this year from last year to this year. So, but it was a big number when they came in as freshmen. When they came in as freshmen, there was 137.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is big.
Yeah.
So will we have 100 kids go off campus to eat?
A lot of them, some of them will work towards that, but a lot of them still haven't met the qualification. You know, we don't kick them out unless they do unless the citizenship, unless they violate part of the requirements. We let them in there until it's about middle of their senior year is when he starts, actually beginning of senior year is when he starts meeting them and saying, hey, you're in the A+ program, you're not meeting these qualifications, and then they go from there. So, and they do get a monthly, actually they get it twice a year on that they're in A+, but some of them haven't decided to drop out.
So, question to you, and also to Tom, so really the open campus for seniors is a good incentive
It's a great
It's a great
incentive.
incentive.
for them to get their A+.
And that's what I, tell the students, I mean, there are 50 hours that they get in A+, they can also use those for community service, and that's what the cords are, so they can use those 50 hours towards their 100 community service hours. So I used to tell the students, why wouldn't you do the program?
Are
And even
you
if they-
seeing an increase in the amount of cords that we're getting out at graduation too
No.
then?
I do not.
I'm putting you on the spot here.
I don't know from last year to this year, but I know last year I helped hand out the cords, and there were quite a bit. I don't know the exact number, but I know there was a bunch last year when I helped hand them out.
I should know the answer to this, but is there any benefit to the program if you're going to a 4-year college?
There are some 4-year colleges like Missouri State that you have to have an application in by the end of January. And the dates might have changed. This is when I did it. They had to have an application in, and I think they got like $500 scholarship that they met. Some schools do something, some don't. I always tell the students that it looks great on their resume and their application when they are applying for, but I know Missouri State does, and there's some others.
Doesn't Truman as well? I believe Truman does.
Central Methodist does.
What's that?
Central Methodist accepts it.
And so some of them do, some of them don't. And like, for example, SAHEC doesn't have to because they're actually a SEAM on Campus is actually a 4-year program, but their branch schools, they do accept it. They don't get any money for
Okay.
A+, they give their own money out, but yes, yeah, their branch
And
campus.
it's good to have on the resume too, you know, just to have it on
Thank you, Tiffany.
there. Thank you.
We approve it.
Yes, we do, I'm sorry.
I make a motion that we approve the A+
Second.
program.
We have a motion and a second to approve the A+ program. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we have the approval of the curriculum, science grades 5 through 12, Mays.
This is going to be similar to last month. We did revise the curriculum, science curriculum, in grades 5 through 12. There weren't great changes made to that. Mostly changes with some of the learning targets and just redefining or there explaining what the targets were. Again, the teachers did the bulk of the work on that. We appreciate their hard work. We had hoped to do a revision of the state standards that the learning targets were aligning to, but as you may know, the state has not approved their standards yet. We're supposed to get, the state warrant's supposed to go on that April 15th, and so we'll look at that for next year. Do you have any questions?
Are these aligned to the next generation science standards?
These are not. They're aligned to the GLEs that we have now. Now, I think there is, the next generation science standards aren't exactly what the new standards are coming from the state, but there's a lot of similarities. Yeah. Any other questions?
It's recommendation to accept the curriculum as presented.
So moved.
Second. Got a motion and a second to approve the science curriculum. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah, the next is a consideration of the paper bid. John Seiler took bids, received bids from Contract Paper, Midland Paper, and Paper Corporation. We accepted, I'm gonna recommend the bid from Midland Paper for a cost of $43,042.49.
So moved.
Or second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the paper bid. Any further discussion?
I had one question. Lauren, in the past, didn't we bid those out on line item, or did we bid the paper all to one
No.
vendor?
What usually we do the paper bid and the office supply bid together at the same time. The office supply bid is what you're thinking at one point was a line by line item. On a year that we have envelopes on, we will sometimes award envelopes as their own bid in addition to the paper.
Right.
We didn't need envelopes this year, so they weren't included. We're gonna bring office supplies to you next month. We moved the paper bid up because we had gotten word that the price of paper was gonna go through the roof after May 1st.
Right, okay,
So,
thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Consideration of the roofing bid, I have Mr. Mike Brown to present that information.
Mr. Williams. Keeping with our roof replacement schedule, we recently advertised for several sections of roofing throughout the district, 4 particular buildings, about 22,000 square feet. And along with the advertising, I specifically solicited bids from Pyramid Roofing, Riverside Roofing, and Osmond Roofing, because they had requested in the past to be included in our roofing bidding. I didn't receive any response from Pyramid Roofing. Riverside responded that they were currently awaiting credentials of manufacturing, so they couldn't supply a bid, that they wanted to be included in our next bidding process. Osmond Roofing was the only one that responded with a bid, and their bid for the total 4 buildings was $208,100. But they also included a deduction amount of $20,420 if we did all of these at the same time, which would basically give us covering one of our roof areas for free. I currently have $170,000 in my roofing budget, so we would have to make an allowance from my maintenance budget, not from the total school district budget, but just from my budget alone to accommodate those numbers. So it'd be my recommendation that we would award this to Osmond Roofing. Any questions?
and the cost for that was $187,680.
Yes.
So moved.
Have a motion? And a second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
It's nice to have a technology man in attendance.
That's another work order.
Lori, aren't you the de facto
Yes.
IT person?
That's right,
That is not
yeah.
here?
If Eddie wasn't here, I would take care of it. You'd be in good hands.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Next, we have the consideration of the audit bid, and I'll award it.
We went out to bid for auditing services, and actually the bids ran from the last week in February through middle of March. We just weren't able to get it to you in time for the March meeting and give them time to respond to the audit. We only had one audit bid returned. That was from Vanderven. They've been our current auditors for the last 4 years, at least. I think they had a prior bid as well. They came back in for the first year. They didn't raise their price at all. Their first quote is $29,250 to do the 2016 FY 2016 audit. This will be subject to 2 possible renewals. 2017 price was $29,835, and then in 2018 it would go up to $30,430. It's the administration's recommendation that we accept the bid from Vanderven.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the audit bid. Any further discussion?
So we're approving this for 3 years for them to be,
You're approving it for this year, for the 2016, and we never obligate future boards. So if for some reason we weren't happy with their services, then we can put this back out to bid next year.
who was the auditor before them?
Spitzmiller here in town was our auditing services for years, and then we had a year where they had some personnel leave in the middle of the school audit and left them shorthanded. So they brought in this group because they were somebody they had worked with on some other audit teams, and they were familiar with school audits. So the next year we went out to bid, then they were the successful bidder.
It's become a pretty specialized form of
It
auditing,
has,
doesn't
it has, especially if you're a pre-K-12 district with a career and tech center. A lot of people don't want to audit career and tech centers, so not everybody wants to take it on. And this particular group,
The single audits from the federal side too. Not many
Yes.
people want to audit.
it requires a lot of specialized training that they have to go to in order to do school audits.
No, I don't think any of our local firms do.
Nobody has
That I know
requested
of.
interest. The last time we went out to bid 3 years ago, we had a group out of Farmington request to bid. They came in as a higher bid because they had more travel costs involved in traveling down here. But this year, like I said, we didn't even have anybody else express an interest.
Vanderbilt's a good firm.
It's a recommendation to accept this board.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Next on the agenda is the ratification of bills paid through March of 2016. Recommendation to accept that.
We'll have to do this with roll call vote. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Tanner?
Yes.
Ms. Drury?
Yes.
Mr. Crumpector?
Yes.
Mr. Lake?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan? Mr. Priest?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the approval of board policy with local amendment only, board policy GCI, which is professional staff assignments and transfers. On that particular policy, the sentence was added, or paragraph was added to that by our local board.
Jeff? Do you have a recommendation?
I'll give that to you. I do not feel at this time that this is something that, not just for me, but superintendents down the road, I don't know that it's in the best interest of this position to go ahead and adopt this particular paragraph. I think it limits the superintendent's ability to transfer transfer those people within the district that's best for the district.
Well, I disagree. I think it's needed because, I think that we've had this discussion before, that,
We've had it for several months, yes.
and we agreed on it at one time, and that we were going to do this, and then it was sent to MSBA. But one of the main,
MSBA did not have anything to do with it. The only thing the MSBA did was place us in a policy and send it back.
one of the main things that we discussed was that one of the main duties of a school board is to hire. And when we hire someone, when a teacher comes to us for any position, the school board, upon the recommendation of the administration, votes to hire that particular teacher for a particular position. And so moving a teacher from one school to another would be fine because they were hired in as,
This doesn't deal with teachers,
I know.
correct? Okay.
But when you're talking about administration, and you're talking about a higher pay scale, or you're talking about taking someone from a position where they're getting a promotion, or they're being moved from building to building in an administrative position, any change like that, I feel like needs to be board approved. Number one, it protects you as a superintendent, it protects the board, this district from any kind of scrutiny from the public that there may be people being placed in positions for other reasons than qualification or whatever. And also, it goes along with the fact that it is the board's job to approve that. And I don't think it's taking away any kind of power from you or any kind of future superintendent. I think what it is doing is keeping the checks and balances in place that needs to be in place for every school board, every board. And so I think that it's a very good thing to add, if for that alone. I don't see any problem with that. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And I think that this allows you to make it allows you to reassign administrative staff, but if it's going to be more than 30 days, it has to be board approved.
Let me just say this. In the past, how it's been done is the board has been, we've had our discussions. The board has been notified and they're informed. I don't feel like that the board is out in the dark as far as those people that are being recommended to be placed in other positions. I just don't feel like that this is simply needed.
Well, I can't speak for anyone else, but I know myself. I've heard things of people being placed in different positions in the community, not from here first, 4 weeks ahead of time. And I think that, you know, I don't know if everyone else is in the loop or not, but I'm sure not, but that doesn't even matter. But what matters is, I think, like I said, that this just gives you the authority to place people, but then it also, after 30 days, you know, you can come to the board and say, this person I placed here and is really doing a great job or whatever, and I'd like to see them stay there and vote on it. And I think it gives a...
Well, I think I really think we have discussed and we've discussed. We've been discussing this policy for almost a year.
We have worn this thing out.
And I just think that we need to move forward. If it needs to be brought up again at a later time, then so be it. But I feel like right now, I just don't feel like, I can't recommend it.
So Brian, what happens now if we don't have a recommendation?
Well, if there's not a motion, then you move on to the next. If there's not a motion, then anytime you move on to the next.
You can still have you can still approve it even though Tom
Right.
has not.
I mean,
Right.
A board can only act by motion, so you either at this point there needs to be a motion to approve it, or you need to move on to the next.
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay, we've got a motion, is there a second? Okay.
Next, we have a consideration amendment to 2015-2016 school calendar. As you know, we amended the calendar here last month. We have to amend it again this month because of the day we missed on March 18th when the team went to the state basketball tournament. We are still within 174 days, which is a required number of days of attendance. It's my recommendation to amend the 2015-2016 school calendar.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is consideration of FY16 budget adjustment. Ms. Fordman?
We're asking the board to consider, basically it's, both of these, Brian, I don't know how to put this into the board minutes. Both of these are an enhancement adjustment. The reason we're asking you to approve the budget adjustment is because it's new revenue coming into the district. But it's two different types of situations. The first one is $8,284. We're asking you to approve that to go into the revenue side as well as the expenditure side of the career and tech budget. This was de-obligation of funds across the state where they actually had enhancement money come back into the state, and a decision was made at the state level somewhere that welding had been an area that had not been given a lot of enhancement dollars over the last several years. And so this money came to us basically free. Enhancement money usually has some type of local match, so this first half has no local match whatsoever. So we're going to get $8,284 and we're going to spend $8,284. So the budget adjustment on this part is just simply to put in that we are recognizing that we're receiving new revenue. The second half is the state had another pot of money that they had some left into, and they wanted, it was up to the district what we wanted to do, and we were in the process of Mike Brown, who's not here now, but Mike Brown and Chad had talked, and we had thought it would be a good opportunity to use this money to expand the welding program. Now this is matched money. It requires 50-50. So we will be receiving revenue of $27,802.50. We will be expending $55,605. But because of the timing of this, you're not increasing your bottom line on this. We're able to shuffle money around the other career and tech codes where we had some extra Perkins dollars that came in and we could use the local match. So it is an increase to the expenditure. There is a local match on this one, but you're not really adding to your bottom line. So.
Do we have to take these as two separate items?
I don't think you'd have to take them as two separate items.
It's one budget. It's one budget adjustment. We just felt it was necessary to explain because one had a match and one did not.
And it'll be attached to the minutes.
So move.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I don't understand what are we expanding?
The welding program. We're expanding the number of bays, and more importantly, we're going to be able to replace the fume extraction system that we have that's on its last leg. That will be where the bulk of the money is. But we will actually, and I wish Mike was still here, I think we're adding 5 new bays, which will allow us to have that many more students in.
What do we have to do to comply? What do we have to do for the grant? What do we have to, the school district, is there like qualifications that we have to meet or specific things we have to do?
Because we're a career and tech center that qualifies for enhancement money. Because we've already had, we get a big enhancement grant every year, the size varies, but normally you apply for that, like Chad applied for the 16-17 money in March and it's approved. This was a case where when everything came back, things came in cheaper or people didn't do a project and the money didn't get expended by the March deadline, so it went back into the pot. So all Chad had to do was write another, what they call FV2 form, and said, here's what we want to do with our welding program, and that was approved.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next under required action is approval of the 2016-2017 student handbooks. In these student handbooks, there's been corrections that have been made by the buildings and then also by the district side of this, basically to reflect the new laws that are coming out or have come out, and basically to update our district handbooks.
I make a
a
It's a
motion.
recommendation to accept the district handbook, or student handbooks rather.
I make a motion, we approve the student handbooks.
Second.
Motion and a second, or is there any discussion?
All I was saying earlier was, we have had a discussion on needing to update our handbook because of some kind of discrepancy or difference in our handbook and our policy, because they don't match up. Because there was something that, I don't remember what it was,
I remember we had a discussion about it, but I don't remember what it was.
there was a situation where, involving discipline, where our policy said one thing and our handbook said another. And we made a comment, just in talking, that we needed to look at these handbooks because we needed to correct those. So all I was saying earlier was, it may be something that we want to look at before we approve these. And I don't remember what the situation was, but I just remember
Do you
it
remember?
happening.
What I recall is this, I do know that what we had done is we've gone to, with the student handbooks, we've gone to electronic format. We can't do that, we have to have a hard
Yes.
copy, I do know that. But as far as what the because it's taking verbatim, the policy that we have, the board has adopted, is placed in the handbook.
I don't remember specifically, but I remember
I'm simply
there
not.
was something that was different, and we said, we really need to look at that, and we need to make sure that our handbook matches.
Some of the
The
discussion was the
conversation, I
application.
think, was that some of our, in the handbook, we didn't necessarily have the policy that was updated. And we went through, that's what we did, I had Bridget help me go through and match every policy that was in here. We checked to make sure that it was anything that was quoted was updated. You know what I'm saying, as far as like, we just did the checklist of all the 20 that we've updated to make sure that that matched. That's the only thing I remember us talking about, and we did do that.
But Heather, we still can do that, we can still update those, and we can update those right up to the beginning of school.
I mean, that's just what I was saying, there was, I
Maybe
don't,
that's what it was.
it may have been,
Maybe
but
there
there
was
was a
one
discipline
that's-
issue where something
If you look,
different.
I'm not trying to, on page 8 of the district, it says the CSIP improvement updated policy. That's one of the ones. She marked those in red, I believe, if there were any that were changed due to updated. That's just one that I saw. I don't.
Anytime you update your policy though, that will supersede your handbook, correct?
Absolutely.
So. as
And
long
at
as
that
the
time,
policy
what we many
does
times do is we go ahead and send replacement pages to be added into that
Yes.
handbook.
Well, and I don't specifically remember any contradiction in the handbook, but I remember we did have discussion that we were gonna look at our policies because we were just discussing
Right.
them not meeting.
Well, there was some application, maybe at one school it was applied differently than another
Yeah.
school.
And they weren't
This
fitting
is
the
different than
crime.
that. I'm not talking about going over this one, I'm talking about specifically the handbook. There was an issue with the handbook and something, it was, had to do with, I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was something, it was, anyway.
Well, it sounds
Well, if
like
it's
if
been
you went
updated,
through-
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it's taken care of.
Yeah.
We did spend some time making sure that our policies were updated, and another example was on the earthquake safety, we actually inserted the policy there. So I don't know if that's exactly what we talked about, but I do remember that conversation.
Heather, what I can do too, I have those notes
Yeah.
somewhere, I'll go back and dig and take a look.
You know, I did have a good observation, I didn't look at what it meant, but I think it was under the district one, district information, page 2, which is the table of contents. There's a section under flower deliveries.
Yes.
It says error, bookmark not defined.
Oh.
Did it just
Yeah,
leave
that,
out the page number or something there? or is
that will
just-
be removed.
Sorry.
Yeah. I thought you were talking.
That's just,
It's with that correction.
yeah.
Well, you also
Assistant
notice in there
manager.
too that Amy is still the president of the board on
Yes.
some of that.
Yeah, I knew-
Those things have to be updated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I read
I
that.
knew
what some
of that
Told her
was.
Make sure he changes it. Okay, we're kind of rushed.
Okay, any other discussion? We did have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next Next, we have the approval of the 2016-2017 Professional Staff Handbook. And this handbook, staff handbook, has been reviewed page by page just to make sure that our policies are up to date, make sure that the wording in there is clear. It's my recommendation to accept the Professional Staff Handbook for the 16-17 school year.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I turn it over to you for the consent.
Okay, so our consent agenda items for the night are the approval of the minutes of the work session March 2nd, executive session March 2nd, regular session March 7th, executive session March 7th, the executive session March 14th, special session March 23rd, and the executive session of March 23rd, the ratification of the substitute teacher report, the sale of surplus policy, pursuant to policy DNAP auction, sale of surplus property pursuant to policy DNAP music equipment, and the acceptance of employee resignations of Stacy Brown, Patty McCoy, Magda Salem, Garrett Cook, Elizabeth Becker, Laura Green, Allison Proffer, Tracy Cunningham, and Andy Cheney.
I move approval of the consent agenda items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?